Welcome to Overtime, brought to you by KingsCast at www.kingscast.net. I'm Keith Korneluk.
And I'm Chris Kalaszewski. That's right, Keith. We had a chance to sit down with some of the brightest minds in local media talking about Kings hockey and had a roundtable discussion. This is part 3, episode number 59.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about another Russian. Ilya Kovalchuk
Is a free agent, and Jersey's not going to sign him. Does he fit on the Los Angeles Kings?
For how much money is the great question. Yeah, that's it. You know, I was thinking about this the other day, especially since everybody says Kovalchuk did such really not the greatest job with Jersey and into the playoffs. I wasn't in favor of getting him back at the trade deadline, but it would have gotten the experiment out of the way. We would have known then, would he fit on the Kings? Now the stakes are huge. Even if he doesn't make a 10-year, $10 million demand, it's not going to be 3 years, $3 million, right? We're still talking about a lot of money over the long term. Is that an experiment anybody wants to make? I don't think it would be good for
Well, I
this
think
team.
the price, it did go down a little bit with
Like
his
what, though, $8
playoff
million?
performance with Jersey.
Because he really didn't do a whole
How
lot
many
against
years does he
Philadelphia.
want? Does he want?
Right. They want him. I have every confidence they're going to make a bid for him on July 1. He's a game changer. They don't have this on the team. They've conveyed that through channels that they're going to be a major player for this guy. They were a major player in the deal with Waddell in Atlanta.
Dean wasn't going to give up Brown or Simmons or Jack Johnson for 20 games. They're absolutely going to make a bid for him. Don't kid yourself. I don't. Of course, the organization's not going to tell anybody they are because it raises the bid. They want to bring him down and right. Everybody at the table knows the guy didn't have a good playoff. He had 1 goal and an open net goal. But I mean, we're not looking at that one playoff game. We're looking at 80 games, and we're looking at what this team's lacking. They need first line wingers, and this guy is the real deal.
Plays hard. He was the captain over there, and he played there for a number of years, and then they made him the captain.
And who knows, if they sign him, maybe Frolov comes back for $2 million. I don't know, but they're absolutely going to make a bid for this guy.
Would
Don't
all
kid
the
yourself.
distractions out here be bad for him? I think you've got to be a real hockey guy to do well in this market. When the Ducks won in 07, it was a lot of Canadians, and I'm Canadian, so I get to say that. But, the other thing was they just didn't care about the beach as much as they cared about the rink. And over the years, out here, I don't know, maybe even in San Jose, in the southern states, in Florida and whatever, those distractions, when you're in Canada, it's everyday hockey all the time. The winter is there, there's nothing to do but play. Everybody's playing, every kid. Here, there's a lot of Ferraris running around and whatever, and I don't know anything about Kovalchuk's character, but I might ask myself if I were making a play for him, is he going to get out here and get so seduced by the lifestyle, and given that he has the money to live it, that he's just not going to put in the same kind of effort?
I think now Dean's willing to take that risk.
guy would.
What will stop him?
Which one
If
would
he's
be
going to ask for
bigger?
demand $10 million for 10 years,
decade.
he's not going to sign it.
No.
But if it's 5 years or less,
Maybe. I grew up in San
gonna
Jose.
get one
Beaches are
fine.
not a distraction. and second of all, Timo Solani has more expensive cars than there are people in this room, and he's been a great player the whole time.
But that's the
I
thing.
think-
That's the guy you want. That he's a hockey guy. Is Kovalchuk a hockey guy, or is he a guy who's going to be taken too much by?
I don't think he can be as productive as he's been without being a good hockey guy.
That's a question you asked 3 years ago when this team wasn't good. Now, look, if you look at the teams that might bid for Kovalchuk, it's the best team to bid for him. If he looks at the organization and the team and the performance, Washington's not going to come, Chicago's not going to come, maybe San Jose if Marlowe goes away.
But this is the best opportunity for him to win. If he really wants to win a cup,
Right.
and we always talk about the Europeans, Russians, maybe not want to win a cup, this is the best team to come to. 3 years ago, Dean said, they didn't have a weight room. So this organization, and there was always those rumors about people coming here, Gomez, and all these guys, and nobody wanted to come here because it was a bad organization. Let's be frank, we all like Dave Taylor, but this was not the way it is today. People get drafted and develop, and there's a plan, and there's a process.
if Kovalchuk's smart, he won't price himself out of the Kings.
Yeah.
Does being on a winner guarantee a bit of a discount?
In other words,
Doesn't guarantee
since there's a
anything.
prospect, you know, he
It
might
increases
take a
the
look.
likelihood.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he wasn't willing to give Atlanta a discount.
And he had been there since the beginning of his career.
Because
I'm not
he
really
knows that he's not there to win a Stanley Cup.
But
That's
what
what
I'm,
I'm getting.
I'm thinking that, well, I understand, but I think that it's just like he wouldn't give a home, I don't think he's giving any discounts at all.
Yeah.
Whether it's to win, whether it's a hometown discount, whether it's anything, I think that he wants to get his money. And when we found out what he was looking for, that didn't sound like a guy that was looking for a discount. I mean, those were astronomical numbers.
That's why I'm leaning towards him probably not being interested in meeting anyone's price, quite honestly.
Well, and publicly,
What do you think his price is gonna be when you look at the
I
teams
don't know.
that would be bidding for him?
I don't know.
How much are teams willing to lay on the table?
Whoever mentions money first is the one who loses. That's
Oh,
what happens. So
absolutely.
that's what it comes down to.
So look at comparables. Ovechkin's 9.875 and Crosby and Malkin are what, 8.8? I mean, it's kind of a comparable, and they're playing on much better teams. Kovalchuk comes to the Los Angeles Kings, strong organization. He's got Kopitar centering him. He could be that game breaker that maybe not Crosby is, but he could put up Ovechkin numbers. Why would we not pay that money? Hey, you know what? The bottom line is any good organization has to gamble. And yeah, he might get sucked up in the lifestyle, whatever, but we have enough character in that room that, you know what? If he's a malcontent, we could probably use one. Shake it up a little bit.
It's mostly term.
What's that?
It's mostly term over price. If he's going to demand 10 years, it's going to put everything out of whack.
Right.
And not only that, but if this was this season, last season, the Kings trade for Danny Heatley. Because now Dean believes enough in the corner room to bring in Danny Heatley. So the theory is bring Kovalchuk in, right? So I would absolutely think that. And look, the other thing about Dean is, Dean's not a blockbuster guy. You tell me the big free agent contract he's did, or the big trade he's engineered. Right? When we sat with him early in the year, I did an interview with him. He crowed about trading Jason Ward for a third-round pick. That's Dean Lombardi, like the smart deal, not the big deal. He's not the splashing guy. He's never made a blockbuster trade. I think if you go back to the Sharks, he's drafted and developed.
That's been his big problem, is that sometimes people say that he's not willing to make the big trade to take your team to the next level.
True. It's not his willing. He hasn't.
Because that was the Sharks. They always had similar to the Kings almost, where they had a lot of really good players, but didn't have the Joe Thornton to take them over the edge. And
They were
needed
fine
to
until they got that big player. They were overachievers until they got Thornton, and then all of a sudden, now they have great regular seasons.
Well, expectations changed also.
Yeah.
Once you have a team that has all kinds of depth and the superstar, all of a sudden second round or the Western Finals isn't enough. And I think that's the change. And that's always been Lombardi's MO, and he's building the Kings the exact same way, which is good. I like that. And I mean, Doughty fell into their laps with the number 2 pick, and I mean, he's an amazing superstar. But I think that I'm as a fan a little bit scared that if I'm waiting for the Kovalchuk thing, I don't know that's going to happen. I mean, it would be nice, but he made the push for Hossa last year. He said he did.
I mean, Lombardi came out and said he was going to match Chicago's numbers, and we know why Hossa went to Chicago, but I think Lombardi is willing to do the turn. He's willing to do it for Hossa. Why would you not be willing to do it for Kovalchuk? Getting a better player.
Kovalchuk better than Hossa?
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pound for pound is better.
Yeah, why are we all so quiet though? Because you do seem to make a good point, and we're all like, no.
No, because I'm for bringing the guy.
Is this the Frolov
and plus,
shadow,
don't
like
for-
this Russian thing again? Well, we just don't know what.
Don't want
Don't
Kovalev
forget,
here either.
when you have 13,000 in November, this guy's going to push some tickets too. I mean, it's a business decision. I think that if you're a fan and the fan base, and you're mulling buying season tickets, and they just come off a 101-point year and a playoff, and now you sign Kovalchuk.
What do you think the season ticket's going to be like?
More expensive.
But that's, I mean, if you want to leverage, so it's a on-ice decision, but it's a business operation.
So is it at the point where they almost have to do something like this to kind of prove that they're
I don't know if they'd
gonna
go that
sort
far.
of deal fairly with these fans that
I
have
think-
given them so much?
I think you're right, kind of, because you can look at the Kings and say they are one great difference-making player away. That and I'd like another solid defenseman.
Yeah, they need a hole on defense too.
Get a solid defenseman and a playmaker forward, and yeah, they're going to be major players next year.
All right, so that's it for this installment of the postseason roundtable. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be back yet again in the next coming days. I'm Keith Korneluk.
And I'm Chris Kalazewski, and thank you for watching Overtime by KingsCast.